up and we need to change things, okay? Melissa, let me move to the second question. In the novel To Kill a Mockingbird, there's a lot of name calling. Scout is taunted by some of her schoolmates for Atticus's defense of the black man Tom Robinson. Scout and Jim's own cousin Francis call Atticus an inward lover. Ms. DuBose called Atticus names. Many of the townspeople of Maycomb called others names. And we always hear sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But is that true? Explain why you think people call other people's name. Melissa, the question is to you.
Well, I definitely think that people still call each other names. And my experience wasn't in Halifax County, it was in Richmond. But when I was teaching in Richmond, my first day on the job, I walked into my first classroom, my first full-time teaching job. And the student that walked in after me took a look at me, turned around to his friends and said, "Man, they got us a white teacher in here this year." I said, "Oh my gosh." And fortunately, I was too young and stupid not to know better, so I said, "Why? Why am I a white teacher?" And pushed it back on him. And he realized at that point that was the boundary and I was going to meet him. And we actually ended up crafting a pretty good working relationship with each other. But I think he was astonished, he was taken aback. It wasn't status quo, it wasn't what he expected, and he lashed out immediately with a knee-jerk reaction. And I think that's really what name calling is. It's a knee-jerk reaction to something that we don't expect and something that we are either uncomfortable with or don't understand.
I'm going to stop you there. Russell, you give an indication you'd like to speak.
I was just going to say, I think that sometimes people call other people names in order to make themselves feel more secure. And by putting other people down, we can raise ourselves up. We think we can, but what really happens is we put ourselves down. And I think it's a defense mechanism that we have, and I think it's something we should not do in America and in the world. When we raise a white flag or a red flag or a yellow flag or whatever, it begins to cause consternation in our world. And I think what we need to do really is concentrate on what brings us together than what pulls us apart.
Very well said. Beth, you have something to add?
Yes, I spent my entire block with my 11th graders today discussing what was going to be discussed tonight and getting their input. And they said basically exactly what Reverend Lee just said, that it was a way to make them feel better, to put other people down. We also decided that name calling takes away the individuality of the person. It categorizes them so that you're not seeing that person as a person, but as a group.
Reverend King, do you have a brief thought or comment before we go?
Yes, I feel that name calling is basically to make a person feel hurt or to make them feel less than what they are. It is not a good name, in other words. And I think a lot of name calling is just to degrade people and to make them intimidated.
Reverend Scott, I appreciate your patience. I would like to allow you to join in this discussion.
Well, we are very happy to see so many of you out here this evening interested in such a important subject that we are trying to bring forth. And by your expression on your faces, you're not giving them any junk. So we're going to try to get right down and chase it. But you see, when we call someone a name, that is the most accurate weapon that you have at the moment that will reach the feeling of that person. See, regardless to where you are, what are you doing, I might ball my fist up, but if I call you something and get your attention, I have accomplished my mission. And most of the time, they reach down to the bottom of the barrel where the trash is, and they bring it up and say, "Here's this for you." You know, people say, "Well, says, get over it." But sometimes the puncture to your soul is so deep and so wide until you can't do it by yourself at that time.
Thank you. Thank you. Reverend King, this question is to you. In the novel, Kill a Mockingbird, the Ladies Missionary Society meets and discusses how pitiful the lives are for the poor people in Africa. And they raise money and send to them. On the other hand, they spend a lot of the meeting discussing the black people of Macomb and how they don't like their attitudes over Tom Robinson case. The ladies say they just might fire someone to help their attitudes don't improve. Why do you think there was a disconnect? Why do you think the ladies were so willing to help the black people of Africa, but not their own townspeople of Macon?
I think it's something similar to an attitude that's prevailing, that they are not really connected to the people of Africa personally. And so they have a personal disrespect for the people that they had working for them and the people who were in that community. Because they constantly refer to, in the novel, they refer to using the N-word, and not only, and you look at when they talk about that community, how they would go down narrow roads and had to back up and turn the people down. So they really didn't have a respect for local, what the book says, local Negroes. They didn't have a respect for them. So they felt that they were not obligated to help. And so in getting a good feeling that they were not against blacks, they would do foreign missions. So they could say that they were God-fearing people, as they constantly referred to that they were Christians, God-fearing, and all.
It's kind of a unique disconnect, and Beth Lane, I'd like to bring you into this discussion as a self-described literature lover. Your thoughts on this, on this disconnect?
I think Harper Lee intentionally shows the prejudiced attitude of many people in town to show that that's what's wrong. Atticus tells the children that only common people use the N-word. So it's used there as an example of what we should not do. I think that's Harper Lee's purpose in the novel. Just like the Bible brings up a whole lot of sinful people, but we're not to do that. So the name is hurtful, like he said, scraping the bottom of the barrel, but Harper Lee is not praising the use of the N-word. She is denigrating it, showing that it's ignorant people that use it.
Anyone else care to comment? Okay, Margaret, I'll get to you in a second. Go ahead. Reverend Lee?
I was just going to say that there are many different people.
Both reverends.
Well, it just sparked my thought that there are many different people in this novel that are different. There's Boo Bradley, who is hidden behind closed doors and they never see him. There's Tom Robinson, the field hand. There's Atticus, who was a man who sees beyond what everybody else sees. There's Scout, who never meets anybody that she can have a battle with and win over. I mean, there's so many people in the town that are different, and they address different in so many different ways and so many different perspectives in the novel. I think it's helpful to read it, because one of the best questions was this morning was, have y'all read the novel? How many of you all have read the novel? Okay? So, I think it's interesting, and I hope that it helps when we read it to say, people that are different, we should understand. We should find the opposite of racism. We should find love, understanding, all this type of things.
Very good. Margaret?
If you give me a minute to try to weave the name calling into the dialogue that we're having right now. I think when I said it when we met privately, that I read this book in high school here in Halifax County, didn't really understand what emotions I was feeling as an 11th grade student being presented with this particular book. Didn't know how to put it in context, did not know how to really express the emotions that it ignited. I just read it again last week and found that same type of emotion, but then I could plug a label to it or an adjective to it, and it was sheer horror. I listened to my colleague here as far as teaching, as far as what the inference of Harper Lee was.